I was running away from a lot of my problems, taking alcohol, numbing the pain of what I was running from, whether that be my relationships, football, just how things in life were going. And I hit a rock bottom when I was 27, 28, put my daughter down for a nap in the middle of the day. I was absolutely blacked out of my mind. She woke up from the nap and tapped me. In that moment, I couldn't move. Like, I was paralyzed. That was the moment where I knew, like, okay, I effed up. Like, I need to get my stuff together. Jordan Poyer. Thanks for being here. Thank you for having me, brother. Thank you for having me, brother. It is a blessing and an honor to be here with you in this beautiful location down in South Florida. And truly honored to be here. But yeah, bro, what's at the root of addiction? Right. And I'll just talk for me personally. I was running away from a lot of my problems, call it in the real world, taking alcohol, which is numbing the pain of what I was running from, whether that be my relationships, football, just how things in life were going. And I always found an excuse as to why it was okay for me to drink, whether that be, not knowing who my real father was, but knowing that he was an alcoholic himself. My mom, who's now 5 years sober of herself, growing up, she had her issues with alcohol. And so for me, it was always like an excuse, like, oh, well, my parents, they had their run with alcohol. This is my run with alcohol. And I look back and I was just very unaware of anything, of myself, of who I was, of, I was very ego driven in the sense of like the sport that I played with football. Like that was just kind of like my escape. That was where I could go and be who I thought that was actually what I came to this planet to do, was to play football. And I soon ran into a wall of alcohol and football, and having to make a big time decision in my life was like to fix what I had going on, because I was very unhappy. And it all came back to me. Like every excuse that I made, it all came back to me, and the way that I was seeing life, and the way that I was walking, and the way that I was thinking, and the way that I was speaking. And I needed to find myself. And so, the addiction, everybody's, you could probably, whatever variable that definition may be, for me, it was running away from my problems, using alcohol as my, call it, crutch to just bypass through life, to the real parts of life, right? Like through the connections, I just wonder how many, friendships that I lost or could have made, how many people that I hurt, with my addiction. And, thank the Lord for my wife, because, there's many times she probably could have less, and that she saw, like Shara says, like she saw this in me, and she knew I had this like deep within. And, if it wasn't for her, maybe been in a ditch, or maybe even be dead somewhere, just because I wanted to be a different person for her, because I saw the love and support she had for me and for my daughter too. Wow. I hit a rock bottom when I was 27, 28. When I put my daughter down for a nap in the middle of the day. I was absolutely blacked out of my mind. She woke up from the nap and, tapped me, and Daddy, like, let's go play. She had to be 2 or 3. And in that moment, I couldn't move. Like, I was paralyzed. And I get goosebumps, like, because, like, that was the moment where I knew, like, okay, one, I effed up, and 2, like, I need to get my stuff together, because my daughter, what if something happened right now and I can't do anything with my daughter? So I called my brother, and he was luckily at the house. I say, bro, like, can you take Aaliyah and watch her? I didn't wake up till the next day. And that really sat ill with me, because I grew up not knowing who my real dad was. And, it's a fine line of my wife saying, hey, we're going to get out of here if you don't fix your stuff. And I wanted to be in my wife's life. I wanted to be in my daughter's life. And so I started to change, man. When I started to really dive within of like, who the frick am I? What are we doing here? What is, what is the wind? What is the sun? Like who are we as a people, right? Like, why am I so this in the head, right? Like, whatever that may look like, I needed answers. And so, I'll let you ask more questions, because I could probably sit here and chit chat about that story forever. But like, that's kind of where it started. And, my addiction was just, it was running away from real life, because I didn't know how to handle it.
Why, I'm asking for myself, why is it so hard to do what seems like such an easy thing?
Stop.
Yeah. It seems very obvious.
Because we look at like, we look too far ahead, right? Like, I think for me, it was like, and I stopped a week before my sobriety date, and I had stopped drinking for a week, and then I ended up drinking. And it was like, for me, it was like, I couldn't look too far ahead. Like, dang, like 3 months sober seems forever, like, in that moment, right? But then you really started, because I went to AA. I went to AA for like 4 or 5 months, and that changed my life. There were so many beautiful people that I met in AA, and like, that really started to allow me to see, like, I'm not the only one that's really messed up in the world, right? Like, there's a lot of people that have a lot bigger problems than me, and have a lot, maybe greater addictions than me, and are coming in here and standing tall on like what they went through, and are proud of the lessons that they learned. And like, I took a lot from that. And people who had way less than me, people who were just, they really had all the excuses to drink or to be addicted to whatever it was they were addicted to. Me, I was drinking because I played bad, because me and my wife couldn't figure it out, or friendships, or just excuses about my parents, not knowing my real dad, that hatred I had about him not being in my life. And so for me, it was like starting to go, and like AA, it's one day at a time, and you look, and like one day at a time turns into 5 years. But like, we're so focused on like either back there or way over there. Like, we don't ever just focus like on the right now. You know what I mean? Like, that's the beauty of like what God gave us, the choice and the ability to make like right now, right? Yesterday's already happened. Tomorrow's never gonna get here. You have the choice to make right now. Like, why can't you, right? Like, why can't you? What excuses are you making? And again, I was there. And so it's like, it really, each individual has to make that conscious choice. One, admitting that you have a problem. I think that's the biggest thing, admitting like, okay, I had a problem. That took a long time for me to admit, like, I have a problem. And even after that, took me a little while longer to actually do something about it. And so I have a problem, and I'm consciously going to do something about it. What are you going to do about it? Like, you can't just say, okay, yeah, I'm going to be done drinking. It doesn't work like that. What are you going to give up? Like, what are you going to actually go out in the world and create? Whether you go do community service, whether you go to AA, whether we had to step outside of our box in order to gain something. Like, we live in, a lot of us live in this box of, I call it like the conditioned mind. Like, it's like, why can't we, I don't know if you ever heard Denzel Washington give that speech at the college, where he said the professor gave him, it was like a box with 9 dots, and you had to connect all the dots, like not picking your pencil up. You had to find a way to connect all the dots. And the only way to solve it was to go outside of the box. I thought that was always fascinating, because like, we, as the second you're born, you're kind of in this box already. Like, here's your social security number, here's your name, here's your sometimes religion, here's your race, here's your all this. And as you grow, as you get older, and as a child, as an adolescent, you're conditioned even more into the society that that we're in, to like, hey, if you want to be like this, you got to act like this. You want to do this, you got to act like this. You want it, and it like takes that creativity part away from us, right? Like, and like I said, bro, I can go on forever, but it's really just it's focusing on like right now, right? Like, right now is all we have. And we have to be able to clear our minds of the clutter in order to do so. And that's where you have to finally go within and find yourself.
Do you think you going through, what are some examples of some of like the lowest, darkest points? Because obviously you're, one of the best athletes on the planet. You're playing in the most competitive league for football against the most competitive people on the planet, the absolute highest level you have for the last 12 years. And you've also have these barnacles that you've been kind of carrying behind that now it seems like you're in a process of shedding and coming into an deeper version of yourself. What has been the process of starting to be able to, what are some of the things that have stood out for you to be able to actually come into authenticity with yourself and honesty with yourself and really examining yourself and like getting real
Absolutely.
with yourself?
And that's a great question, because like I look back and
Because you're a hero, right? And you have money and you have girls to be attracted to you, and you could get a yacht if you wanted to, and there's people celebrating you. You have every reason to not do the work. You know, the world's like, bro, you're good. You're great.
First off, I have a beautiful wife. I have a beautiful family. And the work that I'm doing is, you know, when I started to kind of call it wake up in this world, I see my daughter. She's 6, 7, now she's 8, and I'm like, yo, like this world is crazy. Like it is crazy. You know, it is crazy. It's crazy. So like, what can I do to help make this world a better place for her? And I'm like thinking like, okay, you can go give talks, you can go do this, you can go do that. But like every time the answer was like, just continue to work on yourself and be the light, like we're doing, like being the light, embodying the work, right? Because we're all human beings at the end of the day. We all have that feeling inside of that energy meter, right? And you know, it's so deep, bro. And, but like that was, you know, I wanted to find a way to make the world a better place for my family. And, you know, all of the things that have happened to me in my life, like I was so, like, I'm thankful, bro. Like, I'm so thankful that, like, I was able to learn from those lessons and whatever, you know, I go back and I love that, you know, that 12, 13, 14-year-old self that was confused about where his real father was, why he wasn't in his life. Like, what did I, you know, blaming myself for, you know, him and my mom not working out, whatever that was. I go back and I love all of that because it's allowed me to gain the awareness that I have right now. And you know, without maybe one left turn here or one right turn there, you know, it changes the whole reality, right? Like there's multiple realities, but I'm thankful that I'm in this one right here with the lessons that I've learned, with the hardships that I had to go through, with the bull crap that I had to go through, with the ups, the downs, you know, the good seasons, the bad seasons, the messed up shoulders, bro. Like it's all part of it. It's all part of my story, and I'm not regretting one little bit of it. Like, yeah, were there some things that like I could have did differently? Absolutely. But like, if I didn't do those things, like, who knows? I wouldn't be sitting here right now, which is what I'm actually extremely thankful for. My relationship is as strong as it's ever been. My relationship with my wife, my relationship with my daughter, like, it's my child, you know what I mean? Like, she does me, like, she does acts like me. She's a little brute, though. Like, she just, you know, and like, I'm like, she has an awareness of like, we go to the store, daddy, you know, it's red 40 right there. Probably should rate that, you know, like, I'm just like, yes, like, let's go, you know? And so I'm just so thankful for the people that just are in my life, bro. Like, you know, that I'm around such great people that all have a similar understanding. Like this world that we live in, right? Like it's the illusion of what we think is reality. It's like not all there is, right? Let's broaden our awareness. Let's broaden our, you know, our consciousness, and let's do this together. Like that's, you know, I don't know everything about everything, bro. Like, and to be honest, like we really just making all this shit up. Right, or I'm saying it, so it's like, let's do this together, bro. Like let's have these conversations, because isn't that what we're here to be doing?
I feel like something that's helpful for me as a tool is looking at grown people as children wearing costumes of adults. And when you do that, and I'm doing it with you right now, like you mentioned 12-year-old selves, I'm like seeing, you know, 12-year-old Jordan.
Absolutely.
And I'm like feeling 12-year-old Aaron. And if you're in, you know, an argument or a fight with your neighbor or your girlfriend or your wife, or, you know, it's easier with a kid because you have compassion because they're actually 12,
Right?
You know, or 9 or whatever. You're like, oh, okay, cool. But within the self, there's those versions of ourselves that we're actually still working on. Like there's frozen aspects of ourself that we're still working on. And a lot of the symptoms in our life that are creating conflict, our attraction to that conflict, I believe is actually unresolved aspects of ourself trying to come out and be seen. And so they fuck our life up.
Absolutely.
So they get attention.
Absolutely.
They throw a tantrum. And you become an alcoholic.
Yes.
And you mess up your relationship.
Yes.
And you get into trouble.
Yes. Absolutely. I love that analogy. Please clip that, bro.
What are the qualities that you found? What's the difference between a strong, sturdy, safe, stable, loving relationship with your family and the opposite of that?
You both have to have, it's an agreement, right? Like, we love each other. Okay. How are we going to grow together and not just stay stagnant in our relationship? Right. Like, let's communicate. Let's, in a sense, be organized, where sometimes my wife will argue that I'm not as organized, but like, she's very organized, and like, let's just communicate and let's.
It probably creates balance for you guys.
Back.
The rest. It might be annoying, but it also.
No, it's yin and yang, bro.
It's like maybe you could be a little less organized. Thank you very much. Hey, you're a little too much.
My wife has made it. I get it, dude. She is just awesome. But like, communication was a big part of like what I needed to learn. And like, for me as a man, like, if I wanted my relationship to be better, I had to do things to make it better. It wasn't just gonna happen, right? Like, I needed to come home from work, instead of coming home from work and like being drag ass, like, it's a long day at work, go sit on my patio and kind of watch my film. It's like, I need to come home and work and be intentional. Hey, babe, how's your day been? Is there anything that I can help you with? Is there anything that you need me to do? Sit down and chat with her for 5 minutes. Sit down and, have a conversation about whatever it may be. Listen to her, right? Like, just be there. But like, that's, to me, it's like, it's so beautiful, right? Because it's like part of the experience. It's part of the life experience, is like coming home from work. It's been a long day. Hey, babe, is there anything you help me with? No. Are you hungry? No, I'm okay, babe. Thank you. I'm gonna go take the dogs out. Okay, babe, thank you. And hey, and come back in. Hey, what'd your day look like? I was pretty shitty. I was this, that, the others. Talk, like, have conversations, do stuff together. And even like, it's not like, gotta go party. Like, why do we gotta go to the clubs? We used to go to the clubs all the time. That was probably the worst thing that we could have did. Go to the clubs, spend some money, get drunk, come home, argue about, who was doing what, looking at who, like, it just was unnecessary stuff. And so like, now, like, we travel, we take Aaliyah, we go to Wyoming, go travel, go do stuff together. And like, to be honest, like, she has my Instagram password, I have her Instagram password. Like, I have nothing to hide. Like, I don't have anything to hide, and it's not like, we look at, like, and again, relationships, it takes two to tangle. And there's a lot of people that I know that are like in relationship issues because they think the other person should do extra for them until they do extra for them. Like, no, like,
that's the stalemate.
You know what I mean? It's like, take that step, right? Like, and that's like,
I'll do this for you once you do this for me, and the other person's parroting the exact same thing. So then you just lead this shitty, stagnant thing until one of you eventually,
bro, it's crazy,
grows up.
Isn't it crazy? But like, I was there though. I was there, and like, it took, and it's like, it's okay. It's like the world we live in. Like, okay, call it, like, they don't want you to like me. They don't want me to like you. Why, bro? Like, because divided, it's more control over what we got going on in this world, bro. Like, they hate the fact that you and I are,
who's that?
Call it the people at the top running, call it the globalists, call it the, it's divide and conquer. That's why the system is what it is the system isn't made for us to have this awareness, right? The system is made for us to go to school, to go get a 9-to-5, to pay your taxes, to be upset about all the stuff going on in the world, to eat the food that we're giving you that isn't necessarily helping your immune system. And I know this is sometimes where I go a little far left, because like, I mean, it's a beautiful day out here today, but they spraying chemicals in the sky. Yeah. And we just kind of opened our eyes and like looked at how, like, what's going on. Like, it's not made for us to be here, right? Like, they don't want us to have this awareness because when we all understand the answer is love, the answer is light, the answer is joy, gratitude, like, there would be no more control over what's going on in the world. People would be happy as heck about going to work, like, because like, that's what's understood. Like, it's understood, like, we're all like, bro, I can touch you, bro. Like I can smell, bro, the air, bro.
A
Like
simulation feels very real.
it's so real. But we just have to like pay attention. You know what I mean? Like, holy cow, bro. Like,
What caused you before? So if you mentioned ayahuasca or maybe, I don't know, spirit or psychedelics or something like that to you a few years ago, you would have a different perception of it than you do now. What was the major catalyst and shift for you to kind of like wake up to some of this stuff?
there was a few. In 2020 when George Floyd died and when that whole election was going down, and I was really, that was kind of like, that was when I stopped drinking, and so I had time to actually like kind of pay attention. I never cared about what's going on in the world. I never cared. As long as I'm good over here, like I'm good, bro. Like, but as I stopped drinking and I started to see what the hell was wrong in the world, why are we so divided? Who Black Lives Matter? Like, what are we actually having a conversation about? I donated 10 grand to, when George Floyd died, to the fund of, and I kind of just followed the paper trail, and I didn't like the paper trail that I followed it to. And that kind of like struck the nerve to like, okay, what is actually going on? You start to pay attention. We're marching in the streets. Like, we're divided by race. We're divided by politics, all in like, can we just take a step back and really see what's going on? Like, they want us to be divided. Like,
Yeah, it's like we're using division to combat division. It's like all of the language is broken.
Yeah,
to lead to any form.
Yes. And I was confused at what we're arguing about. And then COVID came around, and my stance on COVID was pretty damn strong. I was not putting that vaccine in my arm, and the NFL was damn near shoving it down people's throats and making it impossible to go to work if you didn't have the vaccine. And so it was like, I started to just like, okay, I started to question a lot of shit. And that, it wasn't really the spirituality part didn't come in until like when A-Rod was talking on the Pat McAfee show.
Rogers, yeah.
Yeah. And I had already been questioning a lot of stuff, and in that season I had a lot of injuries going on, and he was on there and he was speaking about his experience with ayahuasca. And you know, a lot of people think he's whatever very little you want to think he is, bro. That man knows what he's talking about. And when he was on the TV speaking about it, I knew he knew something that I didn't, and I paid attention to that whole season. I think that was the 2021 season, and maybe it's second to last year in Green Bay, and they weren't that good that year. And I paid attention to how he approached the podium, and you know, just his demeanor. And I knew he knew something that I didn't. And I wanted to explore what he knew. I was already very open-minded. I call myself the black sheep in my family just because my mom is white, my stepdad is Polynesian, my brother, he's half white, half Polynesian, and I grew up half white, half black. Like,
yeah,
I'm just a weird, you know, it's just a weird mix. And so, like, as soon as that season got over, like, I knew my cousin Logan over there, I hit him up, and I was like, yo, bro, I'm going to go down to Costa Rica to explore this medicine called ayahuasca. Never dabbled in psychedelics before. I maybe took one little square of mushrooms, and I was scared after that, but like never did it before. And
losing your identity for the first time on some mushrooms randomly is freaking terrifying.
Yeah, well, I didn't even get to that point.
Yeah,
so like
it was starting to like pull on the veil a little bit. You're like, screw this.
Well, like I said, I went straight to Costa Rica, and I lost it with Mother Aya. She beat me up so good, like in the most gentle way, but like,
what did she beat you up about? What does that look like?
Just like why I was confused about my relationships. Like I was in a place where like I was confused about, like, you know, my relationship with my wife, my relationship with my dad, like where was he at, like, you know, my alcohol. Like I knew those were like the top three things that coming in, and like my ego. I didn't even know that was there, but like my ego was a huge part of my identity as a football player, and not even knowing who I was as a human.
Yeah.
And so really taking that part away from me, it was really hard because that was all I really ever knew.
Yeah.
You know? And
it's harder for someone in a position like yours, like the ultra super influential, impactful, powerful, rich, famous, whatever people. They're actually kind of at like a spiritual disadvantage in some ways, and in other ways I could totally, you know, have an argument against that, but in the sense that the world is like praising them. Whereas if you're a overt drug addict with like track marks in your arm, it's very clear that you need help.
Right.
But if you're up on the you're the person on the podium, it's almost like if you have feelings, I would imagine,
Right.
you know, if you're,
I mean, that's just like men though. Like, it's like as we grow up, it's like you start, hey, if you start to cry, oh, don't cry, rub some dirt on it. It's like we hold emotions and stuff.
It has to go somewhere.
And it has to go somewhere, bro.
Yeah.
Energy, bro. And so like all that anger and hate that I had towards my father, that all that, it was stored, bro. And I purged it out. Like, I mean, it was very liberating experience, very profound, but it changed my perspective on everything. Like who I was, what I was doing here, you know, why I was so angry, and just again, loving that 12, 13-year-old kid, loving that, you know, 21, 22, 23-year-old lost self that was just out in the world trying to figure it out, drinking all the time, thinking that was life, and, you know, loving all those lessons that came with it, the good, the bad, the indifferent, and because it's all part of it, right? It's all part of the same thing. So you just keep growing and keep evolving. Like, I'm not where I want to be. I want to continue to grow. Like, you know, 2 years ago, I was in a totally different headspace, and like the year ago, I was even different. A week ago, like, you know, it's just we continue to grow, we continue to learn, and connect and share, and that's, to me, like, that's what we're supposed to be doing here. Like, is exactly that, and that's how we grow. Like, I don't see myself like studying a whole, like, bro, I can go deep. I don't want to go that deep, but like, bro, the whole point of us being,
What were you gonna say? Studying the whole what?
it's just like when you're young, they put these books in front of you to study these specific books, to learn these specific books, because that's the way. And it's like, there's a lot more ways than just that. And it's like, let's explore. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, we're in this box here, and it's like, why are we scared to go outside of this box? Like,
Yeah.
what do we think is going to happen? Like, let's explore. Let's toe the line. Let's at least toe the line, you know what I mean? But like, sometimes let's fucking jump, yo. Like,
I think it's because we know that whatever has got us here hasn't got us killed, and I think our nervous system operates
scared of death. What is death?
And so if you can, which easier said than done. I mean, if you've done, you know, enough psychedelics, or maybe whatever, like lived some version of a hard life, or had maybe a near-death experience or something like that, or going through some type of rite of passage, if you're part of some culture that does that, something that I've heard that I like is, if you can die before you die, then you'll have a much more richer life after that. But if you're living each day just from like a scarcity mindset around life of like, how do I keep this life? How do I hoard this life? It's going to restrict you from being able to grow and evolve. But if you could live in that place of true freedom, I'm not saying that I am, but it's, you know, I'm yeah.
It's almost just flowing, right? Like, and like, trust, right?
Yeah. How do you trust?
Right, you let go of the negative belief system that, like, okay, if you're my boss and like I want to go get a raise or something, and like I'm sitting at home like, you know, I've been working extremely hard, like, you know, I need maybe a raise. Like, nah, he's not gonna do that. But like, you don't know that, so like, what's the worst what's gonna happen? Hey, boss, like, you know, I've been working extremely hard, these are my numbers, like, you know, what do you think about me getting a raise? Worst thing gonna tell you, no. Worst is gonna happen, he's gonna tell you no. Okay, that's a lesson for you to learn from.
Yeah.
Or maybe he tells you, yeah, oh sure, yeah, I've been seeing you working hard.
Yeah.
Now, like, all that thinking you did at the house, like, you're like, oh damn, okay, cool. Like, you take that step. We're creator beings.
Yeah.
And so like, we're supposed to be out creating, and the lessons come from me asking you a question and you telling me no. That's the lesson. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to take it anyway.
Something that's interesting that professional athletes go through, that everybody goes through to some degree, but professional athletes have like a very overt version of this, is if you get into the career as a professional athlete, you're almost certainly at some point going to have some type of identity crisis. Not for sure, but like pretty high odds. You'll come to a point where it's like, this is how I've identified for the last ever. And the average career of a football player, I think, is like less than 3 years or something like that. And so they're putting their whole entire life in that. They're a hero. Everybody loves them in college and all that stuff. Like, they're the best. They're the greatest thing ever. And then suddenly a team doesn't want them anymore. And they're 23 or 24 or 22 or, you know, whatever young age. And they were probably living like a baller for that short amount of time. And now they're in this place of like, oh, who the heck am I? Do you see that as a common thing with professional athletes? And how have you navigated that experience within yourself of who is Jordan Poyer without football?
Right. And that's another great question. There are a lot of, like, in the sports world, it's everything's ego driven. I mean, in the men world, like, but especially in the NFL sports, everything is very ego driven. And so, like, guys play with that anger. Guys play with that. I played with that anger towards my dad. Like, all right, dad, you ain't gonna be my life. Like, watch this. Like, watch me become an all pro. Watch me become a pro bowler, and you ain't got nothing to do with that. So, like, that was kind of like my mindset with that. And like, I'm always curious because I do think like the medicine changed me in a way to help me realize like I'm more than an athlete, because I do think a lot of like times when I was coming up, it was like my back was against the wall in a sense. If this ain't it, like it ain't nothing else. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's football or nothing. It's
Which
like,
sucks, because what if I get injured?
right.
It's so ethereal. It's on by the line that you're walking.
Telling you, bro. Like that's what it is, though. Like that's exactly what it is. And like, yeah, who knows if I in another life, like I got injured and didn't make the league, and who knows what that looked like. But what was it? What was the second part of your question?
Who is Jordan Poyer without football?
Right. And I'm a light being, bro. Like I'm a light, bro. Like football was a platform. It was a tool. It was, and I loved every minute of it. It allowed me to meet my wife, bro. Allowed me to, my daughter. But it was a tool that allowed me to gain a audience that now I can embody this light and embody this way of life, right? And I don't care what people think about me, bro. Like I don't really care what people say about me, because at the end of the day, like, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. And so I'm going to move and create the world that I want to create, because we're in the damn video game, bro. Like, we're in a game, bro.
What kind of mystical shit are professional athletes engaging in it and not realizing that it's mystical? Manifestation, visualization, rituals.
I would say visualization being, I mean, they try to put team psychologists in front of us to, teach us about the right side of the brain, the left side of the brain, and like, visualization is how it's key. And it was the same thing of like, when before it was like, man, we get to a point where it's like, okay, visualization, like, what does that mean? All right, I'm gonna close my eyes and like see myself scoring a touchdown. Okay, cool. But it's like deeper than that, right? Like, it's like really like sitting with yourself, maybe doing some breath work, and like really feeling that feeling of like you catching a pick, or feeling that feeling of you. It's feeling into that and like manifesting. And you don't, what's the word I'm looking for? You don't expect the result, right? Like you can visualize all you want, but like you go into a game and like it may not happen that way, and that's totally fine. But it's just, I mean, that's part of the life, part of the lesson, bro. It's like visualization, prayer. I mean, team prayers, like coming together collectively, and no matter what you believe in, but like us coming together and like all singing Kumbaya together, and before we go out there, like
a football team is pretty much like a church and a religion. You form like a micro church, micro culture, micro religion.
Could you imagine the whole team doing what we just did before a game?
Yeah.
And getting synced in, bro? Like, that's where I feel the sports is going in the next 5 to 10 years.
Well, that's what you're doing when you guys are getting together and you're doing a thing in the huddle and you're jumping up and down and like whatever the heck your tradition is. You're doing the hoka before or whatever it's called.
But before the game, but like having an awareness that you're doing that instead of just doing it.
Or I said haka, doing the haka. Yeah. But that's breath work. That's ritual. Right. That's all of those things stacked together.
Absolutely.
You're creating that harmony within the team and with the whole stadium. It's really powerful.
But I
think the reason they sorry to interrupt you. I think the reason that people are so attracted to sport is because they're yearning for God, and they're yearning for spirit, they're yearning for connection, they're yearning for unicity, and they're finding that in the form of like people banging helmets together and cheering together and doing the wave together. But they're actually, what they're seeking within that, like it's in the guise of football or whatever, but it's actually like they want unicity. They want that deeper relationship.
That's what we're here to be.
That's something beyond themselves.
Absolutely. That's what we're here to. It's really beautiful. It is me. But could you
football spiritual as shit.
Could you imagine if we were aware of that actually? Like if we were actually aware, like this is what we're doing, instead of just going and doing it. Like, yeah, we're saying the prayer, but like we're aware, like, hey, this is where we come together to get synced in, just like me and you did before we did the podcast. Like, we're coming together to get synced in, to get synchronized before we go out there and play, so that we're all in the same vibrational state. Like, that's where I think the sports world is going to be, like, the awareness that we're actually doing and not just doing it. Yeah, we're doing the wave, but like, no, like, we're doing the wave. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a difference, bro. It's a difference, bro. It's a big difference.
How did you specifically use visualization in your football career?
Honestly,
Like, what were the mechanics of it?
I mean, it was the night before the game, the morning before the game. I would do some deep breath work because last year I would do some deep breath work, and I didn't play as good as I wanted to play this last year in Miami. And I'm 33. I'm not making no excuses. It was a tough season for me, but a lot of my routines was breath work before I went to bed, visualization, see me playing the game, was playing the game, like, and not judging the result that I'm coming. So whoever I'm playing, I'm literally playing the game at safety and, running in, making tackles, making picks and just visualizing myself in successful ways. And like the morning I would do the same thing. Right before we run out of the tunnel, I would do a deep, like calming, like just grounding breath work to like get me just locked into what I absolutely loved it, bro. Like it was the first year that I actually incorporated that into a lot of my practice. And I absolutely loved it. I didn't play as well as I wanted to, but like I went into the games and I felt clear-minded. I felt locked in, and like guys would be looking at me like I'd be sitting in my locker, like really like getting a 20-25 minute breath work session in, and what are you doing, bro? Like, bro, tap in, bro, come on.
Were there ways that you were using visualization and ritual earlier in your career, but not calling it visualization or ritual?
No, I was using visualization early in my career, really as far as I can remember, and again, like it's just like meditation in a way, like, right, like the first time you ever meditated, you're probably sitting there like, what the F am I doing? And it's like, as you practice it, it's not something that you just do one time. It's like, it's a practice, right? Like you have to learn how to get into that state of mind to feel the feelings of catching that pick, to feel the crowd roaring, to feel the damn hit stick that you have, really feel that. And like, and like that early on in my career, it was all the same thing. I was like learning what that meant. And even now, like not even in football, I visualize success in my business, in my life, in my relationships, and everything that I do. Because I do believe that we're like I said, we're creative beings, and what we put out into the universe is what we get back. So you wake up in the morning and tell yourself, I'm thankful for you. I love you, bro. Like, keep going. Like, you're a light, brother. Like, just keep going. Follow your heart, and I'll see you tonight.
Did you get an interception from Tom Brady?
I have two. One per touchdown.
What does it feel like to, how I call it, take an interception, catch an interception? How would I call that? How do you say?
Catch a pick.
What does it feel like to catch a pick from Tom Brady?
That was a surreal moment in my life, and that was probably a moment that changed really my football trajectory career. Gave me so much confidence. It gave me, bro. And I took it to the house too. We lost that game, bro. I didn't give a damn. But yeah, bro, that was 2017. They were in a bunch route, and he tried to throw a little Zampese, and I just jumped it, caught it, rolled over, got up, scored a touchdown. I was mic'd up in that game, and I get back to the sideline, and the camera's on me, and I'm just like, dog, like, did that just happen, bro? Like, just like, it happened so fast, bro. It happened like so fast. But like that moment was pretty cool. And then I picked him off the next year, the first play of the second quarter. We tried to throw a hot route to Edelman, and it tipped off his fingers, and I caught it over my shoulder. So I got two on him. I got one on Brady too, or on the A-Rod. Yeah, he don't like that. You always want to say, oh yeah, it was a pit ball, but that's all right.
Who's a better quarterback between Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady?
I gotta go with Rod. But I'm going with Aaron. It's my dog, bro. I'm gonna get a lot of friends to that, but I don't care, bro. It's my dog, bro.
Why?
A-Rod.
He's more consistent, right? More as far as like, and Tom Brady's got the team around him.
No, it was more biased, and to be honest, like
they're
both.
I've heard Tom Brady say something along the lines of Aaron Rodgers would be a better quarterback, but except he didn't have the team around him like he did.
And it's hard to like say like, I never like to say like wins that are better, right? Because they're both great, and they both are great in their own way. Like there's not You can't say, I don't like to say he's better than him because XYZ, bro. Like, yeah, Tom won 7 Super Bowls. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time.
Yeah.
Hey, some of the stuff A-Rod was doing, like with his feet, with his arm, like, I mean,
what makes Aaron Rodgers so special?
he's just a competitor, and he's very smart, and to be honest, he still move a little bit. But back when in his prime, he was moving. He was getting out of the pocket. He had great pocket awareness. He had arm strength that he could throw the ball on a dime.
I didn't realize a football could be thrown like that until I didn't
With some zing too.
So I had the opportunity to play catch with him, and I still actually have a jammed thumb from it because I didn't realize what was going to happen when he just lightly threw the ball. And there's something happening with the mechanics of his wrist and shoulder and torso where it doesn't look like he's doing a lot, but the amount of power that comes out from the throw is unreasonable.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
It is crazy. It is crazy.
What makes a great athlete? What makes a great athlete
in the NFL?
Yeah.
I think just being consistent in your work. Everybody's fast, everybody's big, everybody's strong, and really continue to hone in on the technique and fundamentals and really learn the game. I think, like I said, I was talking earlier about, guys coming into the league, the way the way the game is changing is really fascinating. It's because the way college is now, like guys are able to transfer. Guys are coming into the league with not a very good grasp of like the football IQ part of it, right? Like where your eyes are supposed to be, where your feet are supposed to be, where your landmarks, right? Like, where are your drops in cover 3? Like what is, it's simple things like where are you dropping in the curl flat? Where are you dropping in the hook? Where are you dropping in the seam? And like,
do you know the term interoception? Interoception is the sensation that you have your relationship inside of your body. So interoception would be like awareness of like your heart rate or body temperature or digestion or just like that. Yeah, like you can feel it. Some people have higher interoception. A way that you can check out your interoceptive ability would be how closely you can guess the time. So a person like right now, whatever time it is, you're like, oh, it's 11, whatever. And it's like, oh, cool. You're actually like 3 minutes off.
Wow.
That would be an indication because of where you process interoception in time or in several places in the body. So a fun like trick you can explore within yourself would be like, how good are you at managing time or just like having a guess of sensation of the time. But things you can do to strengthen it would be just paying attention to counting your heart rates or your heartbeats. So can you just sit in silence and be able to, you could start a timer for 60 seconds and count your heart rate. And then you can, after that, actually take your pulse and you can see side by side how closely you're able to actually measure your heart rate. So how close of a relationship you have to feeling your body. As you're talking, it feels to me like one of the secret sauces of a really good athlete is almost like having an interoceptive awareness of the body of the field.
I like that. Yeah, absolutely. It's just having vision. That's why Tom Brady was and A-Rod are so great, is because they didn't just see like right here. Like they saw all 21 players on the field.
Yeah.
And they knew all of them. Yeah, they knew where all of them were going. And it's just like,
you can see the way that people line, which I don't know a lot about football, but I would imagine you can see the way people are lining up and kind of just get a sense. It's almost like probably like this.
Tom Brady, when I hear playing like some rookie and first year DBs, like, I mean, those guys are out there boot shaking already. So like one guy's just going to tip off the whole defense. One guy lining up in a press. You're playing man to man, and you got the corners maybe off, but this nickel, he's out there playing press, and okay, it's man to man, like and it's like there's some swagginess to playing defense, right? It's like when you played Tom Brady, what's crazy stat? I don't like mentioning this, but I'll say I picked him off twice, but I'm 0-12 against Tom Brady, which is a crazy stat. But I did pick him off twice for a grant.
What does it feel like going out to some of the biggest games that you've had, like the sensation in your body? How do you, like, for a person that is, an electrician, and they have a family and they're living probably a really like beautiful model life in a lot of ways, but they might aspire to be like, wow, like what an experience that would be to have all of the glory and all of that. what is the sensation within yourself going into some of the biggest games of your life?
Yeah, it's almost like it's like the man in the arena, right? It's like, you worked each one of those games, like each one is a big game. Like, each one that I play always feels like it's the biggest game of my life because it's the next game. Like I work all of my life to get to like this game right here, and like this is the next big game. And so like,
Does it ever become normal?
absolutely, oh yeah, absolutely. And like, I mean, by the last 3, 4, 5 years, it was like, hey, we pulled up to the game, let's go rock. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's nothing. But the first two, I started my first game ever. It was the Eagles played in Philadelphia, and I started at nickel. It was the Eagles versus the Washington Redskins on Monday Night Football, and one of our nickels got hurt on the Thursday practice, so like I got called to play start at nickel. Bro, talking about boots shaking, boy, I was out there like, like, holy cow!
Does that make you better or worse as a player if you're in that place where you're freaking out?
I mean, it's all growing pains. Like,
Yeah.
like, for me, that was the growing pains. Like, I mean, I got Vernon Davis ran an angle route on me, scored a touchdown, and like, if I didn't have that, then at some point, like when I got in the game, it's just all part of it, right? Like, not it's your rookie's first snap, and it's like, any rookie's first snap is always going to be memorable. Any rookie's first game is always going to be memorable, right? And it's like, you look up, you're like, holy shit, I got RG3 over there, Deshaun Jackson.
It must be unreal.
You know what I mean? And I'm in the freaking FedEx field, like,
Yep.
oh my gosh, it's Monday Night Football. Like, yeah, it's pretty. But that's why I do it. That's why I played. I love those feelings. I love the big plays, the feeling of like the whole arena looking at you because you made the play, right? Like, it's nothing like that. Bro.
How are people in the NFL, again, doing some of the nervous system regulation stuff? Like, I feel like now breath work and such is probably becoming more common and normal. How are players regulating themselves without knowing anything around like techniques or language or anything? Is there any like things that you see of like, oh, like that's what, like you're extending your exhalation or you're shaking yourself out or you're
Bro, I'm gonna be honest, bro. Like
and where and what could be bestowed upon the NFL to make it a better place for players?
But I think like having these conversations, right, and like part of your ego has to die to, I don't want to say die, but like to step into this space, like you got to be like, okay, like I'm gonna do sound, I'm gonna sit there and like breathe really hard, like, like it's like there's a part of there's a stigma to this space, especially in the athlete world, that I think that some don't want to be, call it, seen stepping into because it's woo-woo, and that's partly,
Which there's a lot of bullshit in the woo-woo space.
oh, I mean, yeah, absolutely, but like, guys are comfortable being comfortable, and like, this is not necessarily like a comfortable place to start to like go into, right? And like, you kind of have to go outside of your box to go sit with somebody and like allow them to guide you through, a breathwork session, or allow them to guide you through some Reiki, or allow them to guide whatever that may look like. I started doing sound bowls every Friday in Buffalo.
Oh, cool.
Taylor Rapp, Will,
No way.
one of our strength conditioning coaches, and every Friday we just play sound bowls and like just be, and it was beautiful. Like, it was memory of that I'll always cherish. But it's not like that's where I say, like, I do think in like the next 5, hopefully less, that like this is gonna be more discussed, like our bodies, what our bodies have, and the power that our minds are, and the power that our bodies have within, to be able, if we can just tap in and have the awareness of like what the breath does, how we can connect.
If you could coach 20-year-old Jordan Poyer and provide him 2 to 3 tools to be able to improve the quality of his body and his mind, what would be 2 to 3 tools that you'd get him?
Tell him to stop drinking.
Stop drinking, asshole.
Stop drinking, but I still love you. I would tell him to keep following his heart, because he did. Even in times of darkness, even in times where, like, obviously back against the wall, like, if it ain't football, it's nothing else. But then I would also tell him
to continue to find yourself outside of football, right? But like, you know, those are all my lessons. So it's hard. I don't like to go back and say like, I don't like to play the like coulda, shoulda, because
A cheesy question.
no, it's fine. But like, that's where I would tell, because all of those, like one, like I said, one right turn or one left turn, who knows where I end up? Maybe I don't meet my family. Maybe I in the middle of the ocean somewhere. I don't know. But like, if we were playing another game, yeah, I would tell him those three things. But I'm thankful for that guy for doing what he did and for just continuing to move.
How do you deal with playing in Buffalo, where I imagine fans could be pretty harsh when you didn't play well and you go from being a hero to being a villain, and the whole world's what it feels like in your micro world, which feels like the whole world is suddenly shitting on you.
And especially when I got to Miami, and then, you know, I played, and you know, Bills fans are upset at me because of me playing football and hitting Keon Coleman on a 3rd and 12, and like he was up in the air, and like I'm going to make a play, and like I think they're divided on whether they like me or not. I don't really care. I had an amazing 7 years out in Buffalo, and like their fans are the best fans around the league, and they're just so passionate about about football. But at the same time, it's like boys like think I was going out there to hurt Keon, bro. It's like, bro, like come on, I'm playing football. I love my time out there. I love my time here in South Florida. Like I'm just living my life and enjoying every moment of it. I don't feel like I owe Buffalo like anything. Like I did everything that I could out there. I put my heart, sweat, my blood, sweat, and tears for that football program, for that city. I became an all-pro. I was a Pro Bowler. Those are two things that nobody can ever take away from me.
Yeah.
You know, I had 24, 23 picks. No, it might be 22. I think one got called back. 22 picks. I had 2 years of 5 interception years out there with over 100 tackles. Like I was balling out there.
When you were at the peak of your career, how was your relationship with yourself?
It wasn't good.
How do you explain that?
Because it was just very like I'm playing football, and like football is going crazy. I mean, all these accolades, Pro Bowl, you know, but like still not knowing who I was. It's still like that question that's deep within. Okay, well, like, what are you gonna do when you're done playing? Like, who are you when you're done playing? You can't be a football player forever, right? And it's the same question essentially when I was 12, 13. Well, if it ain't football, it ain't gonna be nothing else. You better put all your marbles into the side. Like, I didn't have an identity outside of it. Yeah, it was amazing. It felt amazing. Everybody clapping for you, everybody praising you, all this and the other. But like, still, I knew deep down, like, there was something I needed to figure something out, because this wasn't gonna last forever. It's like a high that I knew wasn't gonna last forever, and then when I came down, I needed to be ready for real life, call it.
Yeah. What do you think about the journey of loving yourself? It sounds a little soft,
Right.
and it's important.
Very important. So it's the most important. Hey, and I think you've heard me say it all podcast long. It's like going back and loving that 12-year-old, 13-year-old, every self that came before me to right now. And it's like, I don't think I could fully love my wife without fully loving myself. Like,
Yeah, you can love her to the degree that you're able to love yourself,
absolutely.
and vice versa. And you guys are teachers to each other and reflections to each other.
Oh, and she's the same way. Like we have beautiful conversations. We have different even ideas of how the world works, and that's fine. She has a belief system but I love our conversations.
Does that make your relationship stronger?
I do believe so.
Yeah.
Because
She probably keeps like an anchor of sorts, is my guess. But I don't know.
she sees how this has helped me, and
Yeah.
how it's helped our relationships, it's helped my relationship with my daughter. You know, I'm more organized around the house. I'm picking my shit up, throwing it in the laundry, so he's throwing it on the ground. You know, like I'm just the little stuff that she sees that I continue to work on. Right, and it's not like I'm stopping right now to, hey, I made it, I arrived. No, it's like just continuing to just be the best version of yourself, and whatever that looks like in each moment. And it's really helped my relationship with myself and my family and the people that I'm around all the time.
If there was a percentage, this is another dumb question, of like love for yourself, how full do you think your cup of love is?
after I just got back from Brazil, that thing is about 120. Boy, like, so I fill that thing up I fill my cup up so much out there, bro. I just am ready to pour it all out.
That's
really out, man. Because
why? How does a person do that?
just being, bro, like being and being happy and singing and dancing and connecting and sharing and just loving and just not, like we're just so cluttered up in the mind. Like, why can't we just connect and share and like have high vibrational conversations and do some yoga? And
Why can't we?
why can't we?
Why can't we?
Like, we're just so caught up in the rat race and trying to one up somebody and trying to become, whatever that variable is, bro. But it's like let's do this together, bro. Like, we're in this together. Like, what are we doing here other than trying to be here together? We're one. We're a collective. Like, we are a web of a collectiveness, and like, it's fascinating. And you dive into it, bro.
What's the shadow stuff within you that could come up if your back's up against a wall and you're in a kind of fight, flight, reactive place? Or do you think that you've resolved that and integrated that?
Are you saying like, well,
because right now, like love, joy, light, all that stuff, ideally we could like operate in that all the time. And then that can kind of shift when a person feels threatened.
absolutely. And I've had a discussion a couple of times. It's like, okay, if somebody were to come to your house and like bang on your door and try to do something, like, are you gonna answer with love and grass? They're all like, no, like, I'm gonna like, we all has yin and yang. Like, I have it in me, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I might lose the boxing match, but like, I'm gonna fight, bro. That might just be what it is. But like, I know I had, like, it's not a darkness either. It's like there's a mean, bro. It's like being able to control the darkness and be the light. Like, if the darkness needs to, it's not in darkness either. Like, I'm protecting my family, right? Like, it's always threatening my family. Like,
You'd rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in the war. Which I think is where a lot of like the new age spiritual movement is kind of bullshit, because it's like, it's a lot of gardening, but without access to any of the tools for strength, stability, integrity, maybe not integrity, but strength, stability. Like, something that I do with if I'm training with someone, something that I say a lot is, if the movement that you're doing couldn't be lethal, it doesn't actually create the potential for like combat, it's probably not worth doing. Like, if you're just isolating a specific muscle and kind of disconnecting from the rest of the body, it's fine, but you would never actually, there's nothing lethal about it. There's nothing dangerous about that. Right. Like, Jordan Peterson talks about that as well. It's like, you need to be dangerous.
Yeah.
And then be able to manage and yield that correctly. Yeah. If you're not actually dangerous, I think that there's something weak in that.
Absolutely.
Like, strength is being dangerous and being able to manage it.
Yes.
I think.
You said that a lot better than I did, but like,
well, whatever.
Yeah.
What else? What else is like alive for you?
Everything, brother. Everything, man. I started a conscious community. We call it Illuminate, where, again, I'm trying to use my platform to help build this awareness. And it's not even just around plant medicine, but it's around like the self, right? And like change the conversation. I think the main conversation needs to be, how do we collectively become more conscious and more aware of our thoughts, of our intentions, of our words, right? Like, society was the West, like, we're so caught in the rat race, we're so caught in everything like that's going on. Like, we don't ever just sit and have conversations, huh? Like, let's just sit and have conversations and talk about what's really going on, and so I want to use, that's again, like, so thank you for allowing me to come on here, bro. This is dope. But because this is what I want to be doing, bro. I want to be having these conversations and like telling my story, and like, because like we all have a story, right? Like, we all have a story, and like, we all should be telling it. I'm telling mine, because we can all learn from each other. That's how we grow together, right? Like, that's why we're here. It's not me versus you. It's not him versus me. It's not, white versus black, blue versus red. Like, we're here together, bro. Like, let's like do some breath work, bro. Let's do some psychedelic, bro. It's in ceremony.
Something before or after you. When you were at the peak of your career, you loved yourself the least. True?
I would say yeah. And I didn't know myself.
What's the recipe for being able to alchemize a kind of what seems like, I don't know, a lack of self-love, for lack of better words, into at least success on the field or material success, or because that's a very common thing with a lot of hyper successful people.
Absolutely.
What is the recipe? Because another option is to destroy yourself.
Right. And I mean, there's a fine line, and everybody's going to be different. And I mean, I guess to answer that question is to just accept what has become. Like, and like, again, there's a fine line because a lot of people use that as performance, right? Like they use that
It's like steroid
edge, right?
Yeah, it's like a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so like, there's a fine line to be able to alchemize. And I mean, I'm hoping at some point somebody finds the correct, the perfect recipe. But I think that's each individual's on their own journey, and for them to accept what has become and even accept what's going to become, and just be, man. We just gotta be, bro. We just gotta be.
Who's an example of an athlete that you look up to that has a balance of family, relationships, their cup of self-love runs high, and they're a baller in their sport?
I'm gonna say a name that probably not a lot of people. I'm gonna say my boy Taylor Rapp, and he's a safety for the Bills. He has a beautiful child on the way. I think he just got married last off season. But he's tapped in. And everybody's on their own journey, but he's definitely tapped in, and he's been able to kind of alchemize that into his own way. And again, I think everybody's own recipe to figure out, right? We all have different stuff that we've gone through, and being able to, put that into your own form and like take the lessons. Like that's how I learn. I take lessons from you. I take lessons from him.
Yeah, me too.
I take lessons from him, and I incorporate that into my own life. And I don't think there's one specific thing that we all can do, and that's like psychedelics, right? Like you're on your own. Like like I'm gonna be.
Do you think you would have been a worse player if you loved yourself?
I don't know, because I think about that question, because like
a lot of comedians are scared of taking psychedelics because they'll lose their edge.
It is.
I'll lose my funny.
Right. It is.
Some of this like inner turmoil and torment is actually what like drives all of this.
I had this conversation with my brother last night, because you have this realization, like, dang, like I don't have to be angry at that, or I don't have to be like that, or I don't have to act like that. And you're like, holy cow, like I'm more than this. And it's like all you've ever really known was this. And so your mind is already programmed and conditioned to be this, which is fine in that element. But like once you get out of being a comedian, once you get out of being a football player, like it's like I always think like, okay, maybe plant medicine is better for players when they come out, when they're retiring, because there are a lot of guys that struggle with that transition of like that identity. Because I had a buddy that I wanted to take to Costa Rica, and we had a really deep conversation. He plays football, and he's a very good player. And I told him that I think he should wait. And he's on his own journey, and if he wanted to come, but because again, there's who knows what can happen. You can go and maybe sit with it and find another edge, but A-Rod went out with it and won an MVP. So like that. Who knows? Each person is different. Like, I don't think it's not fair to me to tell one person, like, yes, you'll have an edge, or you'll keep your edge, or because you might not. Like, it might not happen that way. And so for me, I would say, like, I realized a lot more that I was a lot more than a football player once I sat with the medicine, and the edge that I had playing with football, yeah, it went away to a certain extent.
I heard some coach for some team, this basketball, paraphrasing, saying something along the lines of, the key to a good player is knowing enough to play the game well, but not so much to realize that the game doesn't matter. You get to him, you make a point where you're like,
that's deep. That's really what it is.
What are we really doing here?
What are you doing, bro? What are you doing, bro? What are you doing, bro?
That's crazy. Thank you, man.
Bro, thank you, bro.
This is fun.
Absolutely. This is super dope. I appreciate you. I'm gonna need that damn yoga again, bro. Again, bro. Like that.
If people want to support your path, or is there a place that people can go from here? Maybe it's just look you up.
Absolutely. You can follow at luminate.mbs on Instagram. It's our conscious community that we've been building over the last probably 8 or 9 months. We have events where we serve cacao, we do yoga, breath work, meditation. We also have retreats that we're hosting. For 3 retreats coming out in Costa Rica. We're gonna go back to Resonance, just in a town called Estadilos, and 3 retreats. We have athletes coming, we have our Luminate community, and we have a family retreat all the month of March. So really excited to go sit with some family members, sit with some athletes, and just grow, man. That's what it's about.
Word up.
Thank you. Appreciate you, brother.
I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
All right, that's it. That's all. I'll see you next week.